Back with another volume of Sunrise Spiritual Speaking. Before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Rakate Yahweh, and the Rakate Yahweh Shah, and the Body Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah, Kayaha, Wakakodash, the Holy Spirit moving me, compelling me to do this lesson. All right, so I want to speak about how the Heavenly Father is going to finally give us a kingdom in which it can be beneficial, to our people, because, during my travels, going to these different archaeology museums, going into the history, you see that our people have contributed to all these different kingdoms, and we read it in the scriptures. And because, for the most part, our people our history has been a history of captivity. Captivity under the Egyptians, or which we were enslaved for 400 years. We were there for 430 years. For 400 years of that, we were in captivity. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and grab that from the book of Exodus. Then us going into captivity under the Assyrians, then the Babylonians, then the Medes and the Persians, all right, the Greeks, all right, the Romans, and now we're back in captivity once more under the revitalized Roman Empire. And so our people have contributed mightily to all these kingdoms. See, people point to America and the technology and the innovations, and when you go into it, who's the main driver of that? All right, Judah and the rest of the tribes. This is undeniable. And even me, being here in Malta, you see that men that were winning wars, fighting wars, they're clearly so-called black men, Israelites. But see, our people haven't gotten the credit for that because we've been dispersed into these different kingdoms, and we've been benefiting the kingdoms in which we've served. All the music, the culture of America, the food, the language. It for the most part goes back to whom? It goes back to the tribes. Yet it's just considered it's considered American. But when you go into the origins of it, like let's take country music for instance. Everybody's making a big deal about Beyonce, and there's a lot others that are now partaking in that genre. Well, the roots of country music, anyways, goes back to whom? It goes back to Judah. You got a lot of Edomites there in the jazz music, which everybody knows. Jazz goes back to Judah and Levi down in New Orleans. Blues music that goes back to the Delta, Mississippi Delta. Right, people talk about Southern cuisine. Who was cooking? Who was doing the cooking, man? It was our people. Yet our people do not get credit. Why? Because we've been what? We've been servants in this kingdom, just as we were servants in the kingdom aforetime. But let me go ahead and grab this in the book of Exodus. All right, so this is the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph, and he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. Right, so we were what? We were put in captivity. Because we walked down 70 souls, as it says in the 5th verse. And for that first 30 years, we were cool. But then the demon hopped on them. Hey man, we got to go ahead and oppress these people. They're mightier than we. So ancient Egypt is still talked about unto this day. And who made ancient Egypt great? The Israelites. And because Egypt has never rose to the prominence it once did since then. Why? Because our people were delivered. And that's why we commemorate the Pesach and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Right, every first month of the year on the 14th day. And pursuant to the book of Jeremiah, the 16th chapter, the Heavenly Father, through this deliverance, is going to actually eclipse the deliverance that he did to us in ancient Egypt. So the beautiful thing is our people are finally going to get recognized for all of our labor, for all of our works, because that does not take place right now. You gotta dig and search and put things together and be like, okay, well, wait a second, this is a so-called black man. What was he doing here? What's a so-called black man doing over here in Malta? And as I touched on in the lesson I did, you could clearly tell it was a so-called black man. Well, look at this. This is a so-called black woman. Looked like a Benjamite. Clearly had braids. All right, plucked off her nose. So you gotta really dig vehemently, diligently, and through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah, we're able to paste things together. But see, Esau isn't going to tell you this. Are you going to tell us that we was just monkeys swinging from trees in Africa, and we should be grateful that we're serving him? This is the view that this devil in the world has of us. So the beautiful thing is, when the kingdom is established, we're actually going to get credit. Let me grab this in the book of Wisdom of Solomon 5 verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. All right, and that's exactly what takes place. This devil makes no account of our labors. And the thing is, he knows about these museums. Edomites, for the most part, put these museums together. They see the artifacts. They're the ones that had plucked off the noses, going back to the excavations in the 1700s, the 1800s. Esau sees it. He said, "Oh shit, how are we gonna explain this? Hey man, just go ahead and chop off the nose." Or we see the icons all throughout Europe. He paints over them. It's called iconoclasm. Matter of fact, let me go to this in the book of First Maccabees, the 3rd chapter, because Esau, he's been doing this. This ain't nothing new. This is in this man's spirit. But now we're in a time of the truth being revealed. So again, I was just meditating on how it's going to be beautiful when all of our intellectual property, our ingenuity, our creativity is actually going to be kept amongst our people. We're not just going to be contributing to these other people's kingdoms. We're going to have our own kingdom as joint heirs with Hamashiach, and that's what everybody's going to see the full power and strength of our people, man. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. All right, this is the book of 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 46. Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Mizpah over against Jerusalem. For in Mizpah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. You see that? So this is what Esau was doing over 2,000 years ago, and he's doing the same thing now. And again, he's trying to hide history, but history is too vast. And when I looked at the picture, and then I looked at the description, it just said that it was from the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, which we know that because we know, through our teachers, the spirit working on them, men, as it was explained to me, primarily men like Elder, what was the man's name? Forgive me. What was that elder's name? I forget. Well, one of the men referred to as the 7. I know one of the men was Kazak, which he recently resurfaced, and there was another man, Yeshaya, right? According to the history lessons that the different elders of GMS have given, they were real heavy into the history, right? So they the spirit was on them as well as the other elders to really, uncover these things, right? Going to libraries, going to different countries, and putting these things together. But Esau, he would never tell you this, man. He'll try to hide it. He'll try to what? He'll try to perpetrate as if these great figures was actually him, man. And that's a damn lie. We read this again, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. That's right, man. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab this in the book of Job, the 9th chapter. All right, this is the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. That's right. Clearly, Esau rules the world, which is why he refuses to give us any credit. All right, he's all about what? Stealing our intellectual property. Attributing the greatness of our people to him. All these great figures, Charlemagne, Richard the Lionheart, all these great figures of medieval Europe, and when you do the research, come to find out, hey, they're actually so-called black men. And this King James, right? And this man will never admit that. Why? Because he's the devil. He's wicked, and he wants to destroy our people. He just wants to kill us, steal from us, and cause our history, our legacy, to be forgotten. But see, the Heavenly Father, He's not allowing that to happen. So the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. That's right. And because we are the true judges, starting with Yahweh Shai, all judgment is given into His hand. So even unto this day, like I'm going to go to these different cathedrals out here. I think it's St. John's Cathedral, and which even within that they'll show what's known as the Black Madonna, which there's countless images of the quote-unquote Black Madonna throughout Europe, which is supposedly Mary and baby Jesus, yet we understand that really goes back to Semiramis and Tammuz. All right, Tammuz being the son of Nimrod according to Babylonian folklore, right? So you'll see that, but then they'll also have the depictions of the angels, the depiction of the apostles, the disciples, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, having them depicted as so-called white people. And that goes back to the Renaissance time period. So the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? That's right. If he's not the wicked, where and who is he? Which that's a rhetorical question. And we know that he's the wicked. And he's being unveiled more and more. Like the brother got here in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter. I see letters to the flock. And I'm not sure what you said. Haven't seen you on a while, on the board in a while. Yep, but yeah, beautiful. From the brother Mashat, 1 Maccabees 2 and 10. What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? That's a beautiful precept. What nation have not gotten a part of her kingdom and of her spoils? And you actually see that, man, when you go to these museums. Because you say, well, wait a second. Our people were literally everywhere. And we know that's the prophecy in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. That we will be dispersed into all nations of the earth. And that has actually taken place. I could go to Iran right now, and guess what? I bet you I'm going to see some artifacts depicting Israelites winning wars, being risen up as kings, princes. Yet it's not widely acknowledged. I was just there in Turkey. I mean, the proof is there, man. The proof is there. This is the book of 1 Maccabees 2 and 10. What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she has become a bondslave. That's right. And how are we going to be redeemed? By Yahweh Shai. He's the only one that can redeem us from this curse of perpetual captivity. Because again, just think about our nation. Our nation has, for the most part, been in captivity. Again, the Egyptian captivity, that's the first captivity we was under. All right, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Medes and the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans. Now there's been little intermissions in which we've had dominion, yet we've been in continual conflict with these different nations. And then we end up getting taken down and put in captivity again. Hey, but that will be no more very soon. Let me grab this in Psalm 64. Actually, let me read this from the brother Ra'ah. Iconoclasm literally means image breaking and refers to a recurring historical impulse to break or destroy images for religious or political reasons, right? Political reasons, because in order for Esau to really push forth the narrative of us being inferior, he can't put forth true history. All right, that we were all these great historical figures, that we're the inventors, that we're the culture transmitters. Because then people look at him and say, okay, well, what the hell do you do then? If these people were Israelites that did all these great things, what were you doing? We know what Esau was doing. He was praying, up in the caves, pursuing to Job, the 30th chapter. He was chased away from amongst the nations. All right, he came out with a vengeance, just killing everybody. So that's why Esau does a diligent search, as it says here in the book of Psalms 64 and 6. Jacob the benefactor, they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. That's right. So they do a diligent search. They're doing all these excavations. They're discovering all these images. And because of their objective, their political, religious objective to keep the Israelites in subjection, all right, they attribute all these great things to them and not us. And, but as the brother has here in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, yep, 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, the truth is coming out. 2nd Ezra 6 and 28. As for faith, it shall flourish, right? And faith is flourishing amongst the believers of Israel. Corruption shall be overcome. That's right. And this man is corrupt. But guess what? This corruption is being overcome. And the truth, which had been so long without fruit, shall be declared, right? And that's exactly the time that we're in, a time of the truth being declared. Again, I was pleasantly surprised to see the things that I saw yesterday. I said, well, look at this. This is a so-called black hole in a little island of Gozo. It ain't nothing but like 20, 30,000 people on the island. Yeah, even on that island, you got what? Quote unquote black history. You got Israelite history, because when people hear black history, you think of just our people in America, but our people have been dispersed throughout the whole, literally the whole world. Risen to be kings and princes and princesses and queens in these different regions. And it's all coming out, man. It's all coming out. There's nothing you people can do to stop it. And why is it coming out now? Because the Heavenly Father is getting ready to transition us. Well, he's really transitioning us from slaves to kings. All right, from captivity to rulership. That's literally the time that we're in. All right, so it's the book of Zephaniah. Right, the book about black inventors is also proof of how much our people have contributed to society, although Esau never put that in schools or on TV. Yeah, that's right. And I actually got a black inventors book. I mean, it's vast, man. Because there's certain things that we learned about, growing up. The man that created the gas mask, the traffic light, peanut butter, agricultural innovations. And this is just amongst Judah in America, right? Hey, but it goes even deeper than that, man. Open heart surgery, right? Hey, the computer, right? Because Esau, so look, yeah, you're using a white man's computer. The computer is not the so-called white man's invention. There's a man named Mark Dean, and he has the patents for the personal computer from IBM. The man is still alive unto this day. And I remember I brought this up, and some Edomite, look, Esau already knows. He know about Mark Dean. He said, well, he's not really black, he's light-skinned. So this double, he knows, man. He knows. But he's just banking on you not knowing. So then you can have an inferiority complex and not have a ruling class mentality, because in your mind, I'm just a slave to this man. Let me just get in where I fit in. When in all actuality, he's supposed to be your slave. And guess what? That's coming very soon. Let me grab this as Zephaniah 3 and 19. Zephaniah 3 and 19. Behold, all that at that time I will undo all that afflict thee. And I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out, and I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. That's right, in every land we've been put to shame, because we've been conquered and put in captivity. Well, guess what? The Heavenly Father is going to get his praise and fame in all these lands. And Israelites, and I was speaking on this at the altar, Israelites are literally in every nation, man. We really are. And that's why you have certain Israelites that refuse to accept that you're going to have Israelites that look like the other nations. Well, what do you think happened to these different figures? Like the brother, he was in battle, and you could tell he had a gold crown on. So you could tell that he was actually the king. He wasn't just some black guy that was there. Nah, he was actually running the show. So what do you think happened to that man and his progeny? If you're a king, you generally have a lot of children. And so going back to the 1300s, 1400s, 1500s, all right, he has seeds let's say he got 10 sons, right? They have sons and daughters, and then they have sons and daughters. And guess what? They out in 2024 looking like a straight up Italian or something like that. But guess what? Their ancestry goes back to whom? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So you really can't get around that, man. It's not a hard thing to understand if you're operating in the spirit. So you're gonna see Israelites. Some of them look like a traditional Israelite, all right, a dark skinned man with woolly hair, and then others are going to be looking like the other nations amongst whom they've been scattered. It's Jeremiah 10:16. The portion of Jacob is not like them. The portion of Jacob is speaking about Yahweh. That's our portion. The Heavenly Father, he didn't allow these other nations to have their own gods, but our portion is him. All right, so the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. That's right. The Heavenly Father is the former of all things. And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Ha'adon Yahweh of hosts is his name, right? And that's why our people have contributed so much to global society. Because that creative spirit, that spirit of ingenuity, we have that from the Heavenly Father, us being his inheritance. So he's going to bestow the more abundant blessings upon whom? His people, his children, his sons and daughters. And it's undeniable, man. It's literally undeniable. So this is the book of Genesis 49, verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. That's right. And we seeing that Judah's getting it on and popping all over again. And we see that the northern kingdom is beginning to click up as well, pursuant to the prophecy in Zechariah, the 9th chapter. The northern and the southern kingdom go click up and ride on Esau. But it starts with Judah, just as always, being the main spark for the rebellion. So Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. That's right, because the kings come forth. The primary kings come forth from whom? From Judah. Now, when we go to the book of 1 Chronicles, the 29th chapter, all the congregation, they bow down to David. And upon the return of Hamashiach, they're going to bow down to Yahweh Shai. Every knee's going to bow. And these great men are from the tribe of Judah. Reading on. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. Right? Who's the prey? These other nations. But our people have ceased from devouring the prey. Judah being likened unto a lion. So he stooped down. He couched as a lion. Right? So now, instead of Judah pouncing on a prey, Judah's been devoured. So he stooped down. He couched as a lion, right? And our people are, for the most part, complacent, being in a servile state. So he stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? Hey, well, the spirit of Yahweh Shai is rousing up Judah. Hey, and these different artifacts, these historical documents that are coming out, that further stirs Judah up, because that gives Judah what? That gives Judah confidence. That gives Judah strength. This is the book of Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art an holy people unto Adonai Yahweh thy power. Adonai Yahweh thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. That's right. So we are a special people unto the Heavenly Father, above all people. And you see it, man. You see the influence of our people all over the place. Right. Again, I'm here on the other side of the world, playing Judite music, Ephraimite music, Issacharite music, food. I mean, the way people dress. Why? Because it's in these nations' spirit to what? To be subject to us, man. That's the natural order of things, and we're gonna see it play out very soon. Let me go ahead and grab this in Jeremiah the 30th chapter. I'll go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to try to, shalom to you, brother, with this up. I'm going to try to head to the capital city. Right now, I'm in this little resort type area. It's way more touristy, as you brothers can see. Let me move it around a little bit. Got the spas and got this stuff going on. got the pool, different pools. But the actual core of the city is like 10 minutes away. So I believe they got a museum out there. That's the capital of the whole island, Valletta. And so I'm gonna try to make my way down there, probably within the next hour and a half or so. Go ahead and bring it out there. I believe they got a museum over there as well. So I'm addicted to these museums. But we will only get greater as Esau stays a hater. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, y'all hate, we great. All right, so this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. That's right, and he that's going to be saved out of it is the remnant of Jacob. Now you got 12,000 out of each tribe, and those that pertain unto them. And Adon Ratazah, that's us reading on. Here's the point, though. For it shall come to pass in that day, right, and we're coming into that time. Saith Adon Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck. That's right, because we still got that yoke. Pursuant to Baruch 3 and 8, we are yet this day in our captivity, which is why all of our work is exploited by these heathens. All right, primarily Esau / Edom, but really all these other nations. Hey, because if you're a servant, if you're a slave, because there's going back to the inventions, right? There's even inventions that we still haven't gotten credit for. Let's take bourbon, for instance, right? That's America's drink. Now everybody know about Jack Daniels, right? But see, within the last 5 to 7 years, people are beginning to understand that the so-called black man, Uncle Nearest, he's the one that's actually behind Jack Daniels. But because he's in slavery, he's not getting any credit. All right, so he just get exploited. He might get a few more crumbs off the master's table at that time. But as far as passing down generational wealth as a result of his inventions, the man didn't get it. And that man, not for nothing, the dude looked dead on me. I'm looking, I'm like, wow, because of one of these brothers, this is years ago, brought it to my attention. They got the drink now, Uncle Nearest, because they, through the spirit, his descendants were able to go ahead and put together their own company. Just like Lewis Latimer in the label. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, well, Benjamin Banneker, he's the one that put together DC. All right, he had the almanac and everything. This is going back to the 1700s, early 1800s. But see, at the time, these great men didn't get credit because they were what? They were in slavery. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Adon Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, right? And that's what the Heavenly Father is clearly beginning to do. And that's why all this truth is coming out. Because that's part of how Esau maintains hegemony, by deceit, or by having our people think that we ain't shit. Now, a lot of our people really think that. I'm just a nigga. A lot of our people really think like that, man. And that's because our people don't have knowledge of self. They don't have knowledge of the fact that they're Israelites, that they've done all these great things. You know, that the prophecy of them ruling forever. Our people don't know that, man. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Adon Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, right? Because that's what has been taking place for the majority of our existence. Strangers have been serving themselves of us. They've been exploiting us. They've been taking advantage of us. Stealing our food, stealing our music, our language. Because simple stuff that you just attribute to the American language. Because we know that we speak English, yet being over there in the UK, we speak a particular type of English, right? American English. Just like cool, right? That goes back to Judah, all because that's not even considered slang anymore. But guess what? That has origins in the so-called black community. Hey, look up the beatniks, right? That was a movement like in the 50s, right? And all they did was just mimic what Judah was doing in the hood. And they made a whole movement off of that, man, the beatnik movement. You had these different poets, and they were what? They were influenced, and they said it back then. They said it back then. Oh yeah, we listened to they would listen to blues music, which at that time Esau called it race music, like rhythm and blues, soul music. These are all terms for quote unquote black music, black American music. But guess what? But guess what? We haven't gotten the credit. But we're in the time of this prophecy of strangers no more serving themselves on us. Us actually reaping the benefits of all of our labor. Right? Servants on horses. Absolutely. That's Ecclesiastes. Matter of fact, let me grab that. And can a brother put Jeremiah 30:8 in the NLT and the GNT, Baba Kusha? And then I'll go ahead and wrap up. But let me grab this in Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 10, verse. I start at 5. Yeah, like I was telling the brothers, I saw a Cushite, a so-called Somalian, right, cosplaying a so-called black man from America. Or he had the tight ass jeans on, kind of ripped. He was sagging. Or he had the dreads, and then he had on a Tupac shirt. I said, wow, look at this. Again, I'm on a relatively tiny island, and you see the influence, man. All right, this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10, verse 5. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceeded from the ruler. Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place. That's right, we are the rich, but we sit in a low place. Reading on, I have seen servants upon horses. That's right, and that's Esau. He's the servant. Because what does it say in the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter? That the elder would serve the younger. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. They called his name Esau. So regardless of the fact that Esau, I'm sorry, well, let me rephrase that. Even if Esau never put us in captivity, right? He would still have to go into captivity. Just by virtue of the prophecy of the elder serving the younger. All right, and it's only compounded by the fact that he has put the most hell on our nation. All right, the nation of Edom has oppressed us and exploited us more so than any other nation. So that's why his judgment is going to be so terrible, right? So I have seen servants upon horses. That's right, that's Esau. He's on the horse. He's on his high horse. But guess what? The Heavenly Father is beginning to kick his ass off. As the old saying goes, will knock you off your high horse. And speaking of that, I was meditating on Django when you had Stephen or Stephen, which was Candyland's like plantation overseer, or his house slave. He said, "Look, this nigga on a horse." And not for nothing, that's how I feel out here. And because people ain't really expecting me to be here. Like, damn, what the fuck this nigga doing here? Hey, but it's beautiful, man. And it's beautiful how the Heavenly Father is giving me safe passage to get over here, man. Because people be shocked. People be shocked that we're able to move around like that, you know. And just me being out here on the highways and hedges, and in these different museums, hey, that's the sign. All right, that's the sign that this devil is losing his grip, losing his power. So I have seen servants upon horses, and princes walking as servants upon earth. That's right, that's us. We are the princes of the power, Yasharah. We're walking as servants upon the earth. But as it says here in Jeremiah the 30th chapter, verse 8, for in that day saith the Adonai Yahweh of heaven's armies, I will break the yoke from their necks and snap their chains. Listen to this. Foreigners will no longer be their masters. Beautiful, man. So these foreigners, these heathens, they're no longer going to be our masters. All right, we're going to be the masters. Now let me read this in the GNT. Adonai Almighty says, when that day comes, I will break the yoke that is around their neck and remove their chains. And they will no longer be the slaves of foreigners. Beautiful, man. So we're no longer going to be the slaves of foreigners. All right, and we are going to be mighty in power, man. Just think about how powerful we've been, and we haven't been unified, right? We've been dispersed. We're gonna be together in unity, in full strength, and you nations, you're gonna have no choice but to bow down to us. So I'm gonna go ahead and end there through the Spirit. I pray that this lesson was edifying, exhorting, and comforting. I once again want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, and Barakatah Yahweh Shai, and Wadeha Bashi Yahweh Shai, Kayaha, Rochakodash, so Holy Spirit, which move me, propel me through the lesson. And Adon Ratazah, I'll be out, like I said, I'll be out in Valletta. I'm not sure if I'm going to hit the museum first, or I'm going to hit the highways and hedges. But yeah, Adon Ratazah, I'll make it down there. What time is it? Yeah, 144, beautiful. That's the spirit. It's 11:44 out here. Until next time, the ball, and shalom to the remnant, shalom to the elect.